3 ways to be positive, new breakthroughs in positive thinking. Hello, Alex Ryan here again, the Love Doctor, and during this presentation we're going to be taking you on a journey through the opposite side to the translations I talked about in the previous presentation, which is positive thinking, how to convert all the negativity in your mind into positive states of mind. Okay, so as you remember from the last presentation, there is actually the 3 R's, 3 ways to reprocess, which are reframe, reject, and release. Of course, if you do this enough, you graduate. By repeating so much, you can start deflecting, and that's the 4th R. Remember, the hidden R, shown here at the bottom of the slide, is repeating. So you need to repeat these strategies. If you don't repeat them, you will not break the negative thinking patterns you've got yourself into. Okay, let's start with the first type of positive way to convert negative into positive, called reframing, the first R. You see, everyone's in a frame of mind. You can't stop yourself being in a frame of mind. It's a different energy level and a different feeling state. So when you wake up in the morning, for example, you wake up in a particular state of mind, a frame of mind. Of course, if you wake up on the wrong side of bed, you're in a bad state of mind. If you wake up and jump out of bed, you're in a positive state of mind. Or if you jump out of bed and you're not feeling negative or positive, you're in a medium state of mind. Of course, you go to work and you're in a particular frame of mind. Most people go to work and they're not happy. They don't like working. They don't like being trapped in one situation for long periods of time, or they perceive that as being a stressful situation. So in that sense, they have a negative state of mind, the frame of mind they've created. Think about when you're just about to go on holidays and to work. What's your frame of mind then? Of course, your frame of mind is more positive. You're looking forward to something, and of course, when you're on your holiday, there is no stress and you are in a positive state of mind. So, reframing involves you changing that frame of mind from negative to positive. You don't want to change being in a positive state of mind, but if you find yourself in a negative state of mind for whatever reason, for whatever habits you've developed from the past, or whatever experiences and memories that you have which have been triggered, you want to be able to turn that around. Of course, with a reframe, what we're trying to do is we're trying to shift our mindset. Sometimes our mindsets are very negative. In other words, we see things out of our control, like the economy made us lose money, or our boss made us feel bad because they made a negative criticism or feedback about our work. So sometimes it's our mindset which needs to be changed. And with reframing, we really want to change our perspective. We want to be able to look at it from a different perspective. Often what we say is we want to position ourselves in someone else's shoes, look at it from another angle, in other words. Or what we want to do is we want to come from it from a different angle so that we begin to perceive it and process it differently. In other words, we change or alter our line of thought. Very, very important when we're doing reframing. So like I said in the last slide, we want to reframe by seeing it through another person's eyes, stepping into another person's shoes, or just changing our beliefs. If we change our attitudes and beliefs about life, or about our relationships or our partner, we'll be able to look at our relationship differently. We begin to widen, relax our beliefs. In other words, we begin to see the shades of grey. One important thing that you can do is that if you're in a relationship and you're not happy with it, you may want to start to see what your partner's criticisms are, start to see them from her positioning or his positioning, and when you begin to do that, you begin to relate to it more. That'll begin to soften the negative reactions that you're getting from your partner when you're conversing and having roadblocks. Okay, so that's reframing, being able to see things from a different perspective. Let's move on to the second R, which is reject. Do you want the cure to anxiety attacks or immediate negative reactions? Well, rejecting is the key. This has been able to cure 80 to 90% of my clients when they have anxiety or panic attacks, or not able to perform well under pressure because they have a large stress response. With rejecting, what we're trying to do is we're trying to counterpunch. So you'll find that when you're a negative thinker, you have automatic negative reactions to events. And what you've got to do is you've got to counterpunch very quickly. In other words, you've got to have a pre-prepared answer in your own mind that allows you to counterpunch or counterattack those negative thoughts in your head, what happens then is that you begin to neutralize the negative. Think of it like this. It's like chemistry. If you have a solution which has a lot of negative ions in it, say negative thoughts, and you introduce positive ions, what happens to that solution? Well, the answer to that in chemistry is that you neutralize it. It becomes a neutral state of solution. It's the same thing with your mind. Remember, your brain is all chemicals and some electrical impulses, but the way you transmit energy and information in your brain is primarily through chemicals. So the key here is being able to change the way you counterattack those negative responses in your head. Once you do that, and you do that enough, you'll be able to even change your brain states. So rejecting is the most powerful if you're able to do this, in able to change your mind from negative to positive very quickly. So you must have pre-planned answers. This is the key. Firstly, you must identify what negative thought reactions you have out of habit all the time. Once you do that, you can have pre-planned answers. So a common thing is that you might have a negative reaction, a particular type of translation, like you're personalizing things when your partner's telling you things or criticizing you. She might, for example, tell you that she doesn't like the way you do things, like you're washing the dishes, and she says, I don't like the way you do things. And your first negative reaction is, oh, she never likes anything that I do. She thinks I'm useless. The important thing here is to have a pre-planned answer within your own mind that you can counterpunch and neutralize that negative reaction. What I suggest you do, though, is not to have one strategy or one thought to be able to counterpunch with. You need to write down a number of them. You need to write down at least 10 that you can trial and test and be able to neutralize all those negative reactions from within, particularly the ones that you do out of habit. And then you need to repeat, repeat, repeat. The key to developing any habit, positive or negative actually, is to repeat, repeat, repeat. If you want to change negative thinking and negative reactions into positive thinking, positive reactions and positive states of mind, you need to keep on repeating that over and over again until it becomes second nature. It's like any habit. If you were going to learn an instrument, how would you do that? You'd practice over and over again. It's the only way you're going to master it. So what's the outcome with rejecting? Rejecting leads to the following outcomes: a calm mind, a balanced mind, and a neutralized mind. If you find that you're able to counterpunch positive thinking against your negative thinking, and you find that you calm your mind quickly, you're on the right track there. You're doing the right thing. What you'll find is that your partner won't be able to penetrate your mind easily with anything that he or she says. If she's criticizing you all the time and you're able to neutralize that on the inside, you'll find that the emotional impact of those statements will begin to reduce and lose their force against you. Okay, let's go on to the last R. Hey, this is the most important. If you do the reframing and rejecting enough, what you'll find is that you'll be able to release thoughts, negative thoughts, very quickly. So with releasing, we're trying to let go of our negative reactions. We're not allowing them to play on our mind. How many times do you react in one day? I'd like you to make a count of it, starting right now. By the end of the day, how many negative reactions are you having? I suspect that you're having many, many, many negative reactions of an emotional, intense nature. Some larger than others, but nonetheless you'll be having a lot of negative reactions. So what you need to do is you need to follow every time you have a negative reaction. Don't let that sit within. Don't let it play on your mind automatically and let it go. Because what will happen is that'll grow into a monster in your own head. It'll begin to become a habit, a state of mind. So what we do is we identify when we have a negative reaction and then we let it go like a Buddhist monk. We don't let it play on our mind. We don't make it mean anything. So if our partner says, I don't want to spend any time watching a movie with you tonight, I'm going to go do some work in the other room. It's important that if you have a negative reaction like, oh, they don't love me, it's very important to let it go. Let it go straight away and not make it personal. Release that thought completely. You just let it ride. Okay, here's some final thoughts on positive and negative thinking. The most important thing here is that you are in control of your own mind. No one can really control your mind ultimately. Of course, unless you're in an abusive relationship, and that's just another issue, that's another level. But most people aren't in abusive relationships. They want to be a positive thinker and be a positive influence on their partner and want their partner to be a positive influence on them. So the thing that's in your control is your mind, not your partner's. The important thing is not to try and change your partner's responses and mind and the way he or she feels. It's important to change yours. So become aware of any negative reactions that you're getting from within. This is very important. If you're able to be aware of the negative reactions, you don't treat your reactions as normality. Most people do that. They treat a reaction as normality and they press it down into their subconscious mind. After a while, that begins to fester, and then they begin to have problems like anxiety and depression, or they become discontent and unhappy in their relationship. Don't let that become you. Follow your emotions. Sometimes you need to examine your emotional responses. If you're getting a consistent negative reaction from your partner's responses, the things that they say to you or do, that means that you have some memories, and those memories are full of charge and they surge once in a while when the wrong thing is said to you. It's important that you follow those emotions and you clear out your memory banks. I will talk a bit more about that within the website. And I want you then to uncover the negative trails. This leads to negative trails, negative memories. Some of these, of course, are just habitual things that you develop over time. Some of these, of course, are based on negative experiences that you've had as a kid or that you've had in past relationships. And we do talk about, in the Love Club, we talk about how you can let go of emotional baggage from the past. This is very important if you want to be clear in this relationship, to be happy and content and to let go and be free in the relationship. So as you're moving forward, it's very important to reverse the negative habits that you've developed. Reverse them to the extent that you're positive, and this positive energy stems from within and creates a positive person that other people can feel and see from the outside, particularly your partner.